Welcome to the Once Upon an Island podcast. My name is Wesley, and I will be your host, and I am joined today by...
Mary.
Wow, it's like you're the only person who ever joins me.
Yeah.
I know, wonderful. If you guys are wanting to download these podcasts as MP3s, if you are sign up for the Patreon for Once Upon an Island, links in the description, you can do that. You can download MP3s. You get all the videos weeks before they come out. Currently, I'm working on 6 videos for Africa. Have 4 of them shot and recorded, and lots of fun stuff. Those will be coming out here soon. No set dates, but I'm working on them. Anyways, how have you been, Mary?
Pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing wonderful. Wonderfully tired after last night's episode.
Yeah.
But let's briefly run through, because the last time we talked was after Jason got voted out. So I think we need to briefly cover the Jack episode. Jack goes home in the last episode before the merge. And it's mostly because Dean and Kelly know each other via an old girlfriend Dean had. And Kelly gives him an idol because her idol is about to expire. What did you think about that move?
I thought it was smart. I know Kelly was kind of turning on her alliance a little early, which made things difficult later, but she seemed so smart so far and was going to be able to pull it off. So I didn't have any problem with it. I thought it was interesting.
I mean, it was interesting for television, but then as a player, or if I was playing, I'd question like, why Jack? Jack didn't seem like he was necessarily a threat, unless they're worried like about him becoming the next Fabio, which I don't think is going to be a problem anymore. But I mean, I just don't know why they didn't name for somebody like Jamal, or a bigger target like that. Jack just seemed very...
Well, Jamal was in Kelly's alliance. Like, she couldn't just attack her main people. I think he was more of an off-flyer, and they felt safe that they wouldn't... Maybe that they wouldn't ruffle too many feathers by voting off Jamal. I mean, obviously they did, I guess.
Technically, everyone was in an alliance against Dean. Technically, Dean was the one on the outs until Kelly made him not on the outs. Yeah.
So I don't know. She probably should have just gone with the flow and not ruffled anyone's feathers. But
yeah, I think that could have helped.
She thought she could get away with it, and he did a good job of protecting her.
Yeah.
But Kelly made the mistake of telling Nora.
We'll get to. What are you talking about? Who protected who? Did you saying Dean? Good job protecting Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that because the next episode he definitely does not protect Kelly.
Well, no.
Anyway, so basically, Kelly gives Dean her idol. Says, "Hey Dean, they're all voting for you tonight, but you're gonna vote for Jack." And Dean's like, "Cool." And then off camera, though she did briefly mention this before the vote, she said she was going to talk to Nora, though we never actually saw the Nora conversation. So he gets the tribal, the votes happen, Dean's plays his idol, him and Nora voted for Jack, Jack goes home. And then immediately following, this is last night's episode now, immediately following that tribal, they get back to camp, and Dean's like, "Sorry guys, I had to save myself," and nobody cares, like everyone understands that. But then they're like, "Well, who did the other vote on Jack?" And like, it took like 0.2 seconds for Nora to confess to that.
Yeah, and that was Kelly's biggest mistake. Like, if she would have just left it alone, tried to save Dean, and not included anyone else, no one would have even known.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I think the logic behind having Nora doing it was just in case there's another rogue vote in the group of people. Like the rogue vote could have been, Dean could have rogue voted against Kelly. Been like, haha, I'm going to use Kelly's idol, get Kelly out. And then it would have been all votes Dean, 1 vote Kelly, Kelly be gone. So I think that's why she wanted that safe vote from Nora. But I almost feel like if Kelly had just done the vote herself and then been like, back at camp, been like, "Oh, well, I don't know who voted for Jack. Kelly isn't going to break." But now she's trusting Nora not to break, and Nora breaks immediately because Nora's the first person to break. I feel like that should have been expected, but... Oh, well. So that happens, and then Nora confesses, and then Nora doesn't take very long to rat out Kelly, because Jamal's asking her very straightforward questions like, well, if we can't blame someone else, we're blaming you, basically. Yeah. So what'd you...
Well, Janet believed her, though, in her management of what happened. Janet believed her, so she, again, I don't know, it was just probably a bad idea overall. Because Jamal doesn't believe her.
I don't know if it wasn't a bad idea. I just think the execution was. I just don't think Jack. I mean, if you're gonna risk all that, I wouldn't have risked it on Jack. You gotta risk it on like a Tommy or Jamal. Like you gotta risk it on somebody who, or Missy. I know she's obviously not watching the show and doesn't understand, isn't like watching the edit of the show. But at the same time, you kind of recognize who the targets are. I don't think Jack was even viewed by target by anybody on the island. So it just seemed like a very, I don't know. Because yeah, she had the options of. She could have voted Jack, Jamal, Nora, Karishma, Janet, or Dean. And I just like the only person who's real other target on that tribe is Jamal. And it's almost like it'd been better not to make a move. But I don't want to dwell too long on that because we got lots of other things to cover. So we move immediately into the next episode, the last night's episode. Double episode. And they all discuss it. As we already said, Nora blows the whole thing. Kelly's like, ugh. And Jamal's like, never should have trusted Nora. That was a bad decision. And then they merge, and all is fun and games for like 0.5 seconds. Because they're at the merge feast, and everyone's already talking about alliances, like openly in front of everybody, like 2 inches from each other.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
They don't even like go away and like talk about it. They're just like at the merge feast talking about voting. And it's like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like right in front of other people. Though that was the least of anybody's problems, I guess, last night.
I mean, at the basis, that is one of the problems, is that feels like everyone on this tribe is so
on the season.
On this
now
season,
it's Merch tribe.
sorry,
yeah,
whatever. Everyone seems to be a really hard player and is willing to use anything in order to get the vote that they want. And I don't know, maybe they're just like too focused on the votes and not on every other aspect of the game. I don't know. In seasons past, you never would have seen a bunch of people at the tribe feast immediately talking about the votes. Like,
oh, I mean, I can't say that's not true, but it doesn't seem like it. I think Edge of Extinction. Of course, you got to think back to previous seasons. Edge of Extinction, of course, had Rick Devens come back at the merge. So that was a whole different discussion. But I still remember them talking about wanting to get rid of Rick Devens right away. And Julie was like, no, we can't get rid of Rick. That'd be so not cool. And then Dave versus Goliath, I don't remember them talking about it at the merge feast. Because I remember Gabby seeing like the sign at the merge feast thinking, oh, that must be a clue to an idol. But then she never goes out and looks for it. Or she doesn't at least find it with that clue. So, I mean, just top of my head, past 2 seasons, I don't remember anyone at the merge feast having this discussion in front of other people. But I think you're right. The season's full of it's. I don't want to say it's a complete cast of people who are playing the game, but it's definitely has more people playing the game harder.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they're like pedal to the metal nonstop. I feel like that has to be tiring after like they're on day like 22. I mean, like at what point do you just like I need to take a nap? I mean, Jamal did that earlier in the season, but anyways, so we get into the big meat of last night's episode, the Dan debacle, as we'll call it, the Dan Spilo debacle. Dan, I mean, anyways, we'll sing this already knows. Dan basically is, what's it called? He's touching them, but he's not like touching them in inappropriate places. He's just touching them without their permission, I think is the biggest thing here. Would you say, or would you say in inappropriate places as well?
Anywhere that a woman doesn't want you to touch is inappropriate.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, it's just
unwarranted.
Unwarranted. I feel like there's another word I'm looking for here, but point being is it's unwanted. Just unwanted touching. Like he doesn't have permission. So we see Kelly talk about this and say like, you know, Dan's still doing this thing, and we remember back in episode 1 where she asked him to please stop it. And I think back in episode 1 when she did that, the way she approached it was very fair. She gave him a second chance, gave him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't like trying to like flirt or something like that. He wasn't trying to be inappropriate, basically. So she's like, hey, you know, warning, I don't like to be touched, like as a general rule of thumb, and you're doing it. And so he's like, oh, okay, I'll stop it. I think he said, I'll stop it. Don't quote me on that.
No, yeah, of course he agreed with her.
Well, he agreed. So cut to now we're on day like 19, 20, 21. And apparently it's still an issue, and it's not just an issue with Kelly. apparently Kelly drops the names of Missy, Elizabeth, Molly, and I'm sorry if I'm missing somebody else. Maybe Krishma? I don't know if she said Krishma. Okay. So she name drops all those people, and then she has a discussion with, I don't know in what order these things happen, but I know she's doing her confessional. And while she's doing her confessional, we see her talking with Missy. And Missy's also like, yes. Oh, I think it's the other person I may have missed. I don't know if I said Missy. She's having her discussion with Missy, and Missy's like, yeah, Dan's been doing the same thing with us too, me and Elizabeth. And then Kelly's doing her confessional and talking to the producer about how she just feels like this is super inappropriate. And then I think for the first time ever in an episode of Survivor, we actually hear a producer talking from behind the camera. I am 99% sure. I can't remember another time a producer's talk from behind the camera. We've seen medical on camera, we've seen Jeff, of course, but I can't think of somebody who's like doing the interview ever speaking up. What about you? Can you remember?
I can't remember. You would know more than I would, but
yeah, well, maybe you have a better knowledge bank of things like that than I do. So anyways, the producers was like, if you need us to do something about Dan, like we will step in and do that. Like we do not want you to feel uncomfortable. And she's like, no, we don't. We get Dan. We'll deal with him ourselves, as meaning of the players. And apparently, so it's not. It's an issue, but it's not a big enough issue where Kelly feels like the producers need to step in. And I think the only. You know what though? Like, if it's a big issue, she really should have had. I don't know. I mean, like this is our Monday morning quarterbacking, but like, if you have an option to get rid of another player, get rid of that player, unless she feels like Dan's like a solid vote with her. Because of course you have to consider your strategic game as well, even though you are in the midst of this conundrum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like we didn't see everything because production did.
There's no way. Yeah.
Meet with everyone. I feel like Kelly probably did say, "Hey, yes, can you say something, please? Because this has gone far enough." And so then Kelly might have felt more safe.
I actually read an interview with Jeff Probst this morning, real quick on this. So I have some insight into why production talked to them. So it wasn't necessarily that. So that Kelly interview happened. Producer said the thing to Kelly. They then told Jeff Probst, because Jeff Probst gets the download on everything. Jeff Probst then called CBS, and CBS told them, you guys need to issue this warning, and then talk to Dan one-on-one and give him, like, this is an official warning from CBS to stop it. So that's what Jeff said happened. So that's the basics of what happened. But during that confession, or after that confessional, before the warning officially happens, she's talking with Missy, and Missy's like, yeah, I agree. Dan, needs to go. He's touching us inappropriately. He's also touching Elizabeth. And then we see Missy and Elizabeth talking. And Missy and Elizabeth are talking. And Missy's like, it's definitely coming across like, Missy's like, to her and Elizabeth, this is not that big of a deal. But she sees an opportunity to basically get the numbers on her side. So she tells Elizabeth, hey, when you talk with Kelly, or I think she said, did you say Janet? Janet. When you talk with Janet, like really sell this thing as like Dan's doing the same thing to me, and let's get rid of Dan. Dan's doing the same thing to me. He's being super inappropriate, even though this may not be 100% true. But last week's episode, I believe it was last week's episode, we saw Elizabeth actually complaining about Dan inappropriately touching her. So it's not like it's an exaggeration in this episode for Elizabeth, but at the same time, we did actually see her legitimately complain about this.
Well, something is legitimately happening, or this wouldn't all come up.
Well, yeah.
One of my issues is that, at least with Missy, it feels like, because her first comment to Kelly was, oh yeah, but there's nothing you can do about it. Mm-hmm. And it's like that attitude of, oh well, nothing's gonna change, nothing's gonna happen, no one will believe us type kind of mindset, where it's like, no, that's not okay. Address the issue and take care of it, and then move on with the game. Mm-hmm. Versus like taking this incident that it's like they have tunnel vision, I guess is a good way of describing it, because they're so focused on the game and voting people out, they don't think about the consequences of this. Because like Janet was saying, this could literally ruin Dan's
life outside the game. Yeah. His real life.
And so, I mean, it's one thing to lie in the game and to say things to get your opponent out, whatever. But goes beyond the game. And
Yeah.
so if it's true, then deal with it and take care of it, which they didn't because they end up voting someone else out. But if it's not true, then, I don't know. That's what upsets me about this.
So we do want to be clear, though. We think that Dan is in the wrong. Right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure just based on what we've seen that, Dan's probably wrong.
I don't think Dan's doing it maliciously. I don't think Dan's like, oh, I'm going to touch you to flirt with you. I mean, I can't speak for what he's actually like really thinking. But what I see on the show, but at the same time, if you look at the roster of people he's quote unquote been touching, based on what Kelly was saying, it's all attractive females. It's not Janet. It's not the guys. Aaron's not like, Dan's inappropriately touching me. If Dan was inappropriately touching everyone, as bad as that may sound, it would seem less like, it would just seem like Dan's like this with everybody. Not that makes it okay, but it's definitely specifically like the attractive younger females, because Dan's like in his 40s.
Well, they did say that now that Janet was there, Dan was going to cuddle with Janet at night. And that's why they were so glad she was there.
Yeah, like Janet's going to calm him down or something like that, or be the focus, I guess.
Because, Janet is the focus of his attention.
Okay.
So it seems like he is, but Janet obviously probably doesn't care at all.
No, I don't think Janet at almost 6 years old cares, really.
No.
I think Janet's not caring.
She just doesn't seem like that's her personality to be like that. She would choose warmth at night versus she's more practical, I guess.
She does, yeah. She seems like, well, she's also, as obviously, since due to her age, she's more old school as well. And this is probably something that's been, like, she's probably seen a lot more of this type of behavior than these other people, because she has just lived longer. And, especially she's been in the workforce. It doesn't sound like she's been a stay-at-home mom. So she's been in the workforce. She's, like, unfortunately has probably seen things like this, or just knows other guys who are like this. And we're not condoning Dan's behavior, by the way, at any point.
No.
Okay, so we'll be clear.
Saying that.
I know. I just want to make sure we're clear to everyone listening. But we do want to say, so here's the turning point, because we rewatched the opening like 20 minutes this morning up to the part where it says the producers talk to Dan. And last night I didn't realize it because I didn't have the context of what was going to happen. But now that I have the context rewatching it, I realized that I legitimately think that Missy and Elizabeth were going to vote with Kelly to get rid of Dan. I really do. But Lauren and Tommy, and from Lauren and Tommy's perspective, this sounds accurate, by the way. Lauren and Tommy don't really know. Lauren and Tommy are like, look at Missy and Kelly talking for like 2 hours, like, after Kelly just told us she wants to get rid of Missy, and now they're making super close, and it seems like Kelly's playing Missy. Kelly's dangerous. We should get rid of Kelly. And so Lauren goes and tells Missy, hey, like, did Kelly just make you feel better? And Missy, of course, has this context of a conversation that wasn't really about, like, making her feel better. It was more about something else. But Missy, like, then thinks about it. She's like, you know what? Actually, now I do feel better about Kelly after that conversation. And Lauren's like, well, you just got played, and Kelly's going to get rid of you. Which was the case at one point, obviously, but I think that changed with the conversation.
No, because Kelly said, I'm not going to let my emotions run this vote. I'm not voting Dan. I'm voting Missy. She said that. So both girls are using Dan as like this shield to get each other. That's what bugged me about this episode.
Yeah, so basically, I'm not going to blame... Oh, man, it's hard for me to lay any blame. I'm not going to lay blame on anybody here, because I get everyone's perspective in a sense, like, from what they're seeing, here's what they're seeing, and here's why they made the decision they made. The only person I think who's truly cannot take any fault is Janet, because Janet gets approached and is told Dan's being inappropriate, want to get rid of Dan, and Janet, being the mother hen that she is, wants to protect, for good reason, wants to protect other people. And he says, yeah, I'll vote Dan, even though that may not be in my best interest in this game because Dan and I are close. I'll get rid of Dan. So they go to vote that night. By the way, Kelly has found 2 immunity idols along the way. We're overlooking that to an extent. Kelly found an individual immunity idol before they merged, and then she found one before they voted. So she has 2 in her pocket. So they go to the vote, and we have a vote between Dan and Kelly. Kelly doesn't play her idol. And we have the people voting for Dan are Janet, Karishma, Nora, Jamal, and Kelly. Jamal also is on the side of Dan is being completely inappropriate and needs to be gone. clearly by the vote. But those are the 5 people who vote for Dan. But then we have people voting out Kelly: Tommy, Missy, Lauren, Elizabeth, Elaine, Dean, Dan, and Aaron.
So Kelly did not end up voting for Missy.
No,
I forgot. She did change.
No, yeah. The vote switched over to Dan. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like her original target may have been Missy. I do think along the way, though, like, you gotta remember, after that, they merged on, like, day 19, day 20. I think it was day 20. And then they had they didn't even have an individual immunity challenge till day 22, so they have 2 days to sit around and talk.
Yeah.
There's so much time to think. 48 hours is a ton of time. And then, of course, the day of the individual immunity challenge is the day they go to tribal. It's just a ton of time to talk. Aaron wins individual immunity, so he's safe. Not that he was even briefly mentioned as going home, even though I thought he was going to be home. Honestly, before tonight, I thought Aaron's going home one of these 2 votes because just how vocal he is and how aggressive he is. And he also stupidly spoke up at tribal council. I forgot which. The 2 tribal councils last night kind of blend together, honestly. But he spoke up. He's like, oh, if there's inappropriate touching, I would know about it.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron, how would you know, bro? Like, he's not touching you. Oh, brother. So anyways, they get rid of Kelly. Dan's safe in an 8-5 vote. And Elizabeth and Missy, after Kelly goes home and gets voted out, they have a conversation. Janet is okay, so I'm trying to remember the exact order of events.
Janet goes to
Dan's
Janet.
talking to Janet. Did he talk to Janet first? Okay, he talks to Janet first. Janet's like, all these women told me that you were being inappropriate and that they wanted you gone, so that's why I voted for you. It wasn't anything like this. I did this to protect them. So Dan goes over and talks to Missy and Elizabeth, who are like, oh no, Dan, we love you. No, yeah. We don't want to sleep anywhere else. We sleep with you in the bungalow because we love you. And so
we
Dan
just told Janet that.
Yeah, we just told Janet that because it was. So then he goes back over to Janet. And he's like, Janet, now they're telling me this, and she's like, what? They're lying. And Dan's like, he's like, just don't, like, he's like, just leave it alone. And she's like, no, I'm not leaving it alone. So she goes over and she talks to Elizabeth and Missy, calls them out. Elizabeth admits to the thing she said and basically admits out loud that, like, hey, like, this was a game move. And I mean, throughout the whole episode, before the Kelly vote, she basically had admitted this is going to be, like, this is a game move. Yeah. Missy admits this is a game move. You know, the Dan thing is not, it's not affecting them as a person as much as it was Kelly. Clearly for Kelly, this was like an issue that went back to like the first episode. But for Elizabeth, the furthest back we had seen is like an episode or 2 ago.
It was probably just more annoying for them and they were just going to suck it up.
For them, it wasn't as big of an issue as it was for Kelly. Because as we learned in episode 1, Kelly doesn't like being touched, like in a general sense.
No,
that was her thing, let alone be touched by Dan.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Well, from what I remember, she said she didn't like being touched, period.
That's what she had to say.
Let alone by Dan. No, I think she said the touch.
Because she just said in this episode, I had to say, I don't like being touched by anyone, even though when, like, Tommy puts his arm around me or something.
Yeah, she said it's different, because I think, like, Tommy's, like, 7 feet tall. So when Tommy puts his arm around you, it's, like, around your shoulder, which is, like, completely...
Yeah, but that's being touched.
I mean, with permission, it's completely appropriate area to touch your friend.
For people who don't like to be touched, period. Like,
yeah.
It's anyone, ever.
And touching any part of them.
She just had to say that even though...
To Dan...
To the whole tribe, so that she didn't feel like, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So anyway, well, there's not so anyways with this. So the ongoing drama happens, and it is just rough.
So I take back what I said about Kelly using Dan as a shield, because I remembered that.
No, yeah, they tried voting on Dan.
She did what she thought she had to do.
And she thought she had the votes on her side, but unfortunately that conversation she had with Tommy and Lauren about... or with Tommy about getting rid of Missy was enough to basically seal her fate. Yeah. Because Kelly's smart. Everyone knows Kelly's smart.
Well, and I was thinking when Tommy came up and was talking to her and Lauren, she shouldn't have just been like, no, that doesn't work for us. Like, you never just say, no, that doesn't work for us. Like, you try and work around it. You always agree to anyone who comes up to you.
As a basic survival rule. If someone says, hey, let's make a deal. Let's be the 9 of us. You're like, in your mind, you're like, that sounds terrible. I'm at the bottom of the 9. But out loud, you say, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah. You don't have to say, yes, I agree to it. Just say, that sounds like a good idea. Like, just give them a positive feeling coming out of the conversation. But Kelly's so analytical, as they pointed out in the tribal last night.
And maybe she felt so comfortable with Tommy. She
Yeah,
felt like she could
she
share
must have
that,
felt like that her and Tommy had this relationship, but she hasn't seen Tommy in 3 episodes, which is approximately 12 days, 12 to 15 days, something like that. I don't have the days down, but it was episode 5, 6, and 7. She hasn't been with Tommy. They've been split up, so she's basing off of their relationship they had the first 4 episodes. But things change when you switch tribes, whether you like it or not, most of the time. So. Yep, Kelly's gone because she wanted to target Missy, and Tom used that to his advantage because Missy's part of his new alliance. It's the Vokai 2.0, which is the Vokai tribe post Jason being voted out when Elaine played that vote blocker. So now there's a new 7-person alliance. They got rid of Kelly, and now the next time, Aaron once again wins individual immunity. Janet finds hidden immunity idol. So Kelly went home with 2 idols in her pocket, which, by the way, I'm almost positive, 100% positive, the only other person to go home with 2 idols in her pocket is James from season 15, Survivor China. I know you haven't seen that one, Mary, but it was really funny because James is like top of the world with these 2 idols he found, goes home at like final 7.
So she found 3 the whole game?
So she got 3. She didn't find 3. She got 1 from Island of the Idols from Rob and Sandra.
Right.
When she took that easy quiz. But it expired, I think, when they had the Jack vote. Like, that was going to be the last one it was good for. It wasn't, like, normal idols last till final 5. Mm-hmm. In this case, it was going to expire, I think, with the Jack vote. It was only good for a certain number of tribals, and she had reached her limit, or whatever you want to call it. So, she had 2 real idols. They would have made it till final 5. Apparently, she must have not thought she was in any danger at all if she didn't play a single... You got 2. I feel like one of those is expendable, like giving out a piece of candy to somebody. Like, as long as you still got 1 in your pocket, who cares if you burn 1, you know? And that's how I feel. I know there's still 13 people left in the game.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020.
Hindsight is 2020. One of those rules of thumbs, though, that I think the more I see it, the more I think, yeah, that's true, is if you have an idol and you feel even the slightest sense that you might be going home and play it, because worst thing happens is you get rehidden and then you go find it. If you already found an idol, I think you are like already a step above everyone else, or a step ahead of everyone else, because now you kind of like have a sense of where idols are being hidden. Even if you watch the show, I feel like on the island though, especially her, she found 2. She really knows how idols are being hidden. She could have been the next Rick Devens finding idols.
Well, she obviously didn't have any suspicion, I don't think.
No,
she really thought it was 100% Dan.
Yeah, and I think this is a case of her emotions probably blocked. Because she was really emotional about the Dan thing.
Yeah.
And it seemed like everybody was on board, and they basically used Kelly. Great strategic move. Morally, very, very, very gray. Anyways, but so then the next vote. Okay, so next episode, well, it's past Kelly vote. I said Janet found an idol out at camp. So I imagine with Kelly going home with those 2 idols, I'm guessing they're both rehidden. I can't say it for sure, but Janet found 1. And then Aaron won individual immunity. Jamal goes to Island of the Idols because he found a note hanging from a tree, which I did think was an interesting way of being chosen to go. But then he goes down to the idols, and Rob and Sandra are like, hey, Jamal. And Jamal's like, queen stays queen, so we know that he knows who they are. Which is always fun when the person knows the people they're going to see. And then they have him open the note, and it says, Jamal, you lost your vote. Ha ha ha. LOL. What did you think about that?
I don't know. It's kind of dumb.
I think it's really dumb. I think Jamal got screwed.
Why would you not pick up paper that was hanging from the tree that says this is for you?
Yeah, in Survivor, you find literally anything out in the woods. You pick it up and you put it in your pocket. Why would this be the time? Like, okay, if it's touching the ground, it's okay, but if it's hanging from a tree, it's not okay? Is that the new rule?
I don't know. I mean, I understand that the lesson is like, not everything's good, but I feel like there's so many other ways of having that
lesson.
Yeah, it just seems like really unfair.
Well, okay, so I think that it still could have worked. Like, Jamal, you've lost your vote, but we have this task for you, or this thing for you to do, where you can get your vote back and also get an individual immunity. Or you can say no, and you've lost your vote, but you've learned the lesson, which I still think is a terrible way to teach the lesson. But so he doesn't get that option though. He basically gets, Rob's like, here's a blank piece of paper. you can make any advantage you want on this piece of paper, but you have to handwrite the advantage. You know, because Survivor
always has handwritten.
Yeah. Always has handwritten. So the only right decision here had to have been saying no to Rob and Sandra.
I think so.
But he's still out of a vote. So like yeah, because like how's he gonna be punished if he said like I'm not gonna do that? That sounds stupid. Like what are they gonna do? Take away his vote? They've already done that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Jamal got screwed. I think it really should have been, if they're gonna do. I don't like the lesson, but if they're gonna do this challenge, I think how it should have worked is Jamal. You have to make an advantage. The advantage is only good for one tribal. So whatever advantage you give them, vote blocker, safety without power, immunity idol, whatever. It's only good for one tribal, and that person needs to play it at that tribal. If they don't play it at the tribal, you lose your vote. So before they vote, that person has to play the advantage. So Jamal would know whether he has the vote or not.
But it's not a real advantage, anyways.
Well, I have no idea. They didn't really clarify whether it was a real. It sounds like it's a real advantage.
I don't think it's a real advantage.
My assumption from what they said was it's a real advantage. It was just handwritten, and is anybody going to believe it? I don't know. But it sounds like a real advantage. He gave it to Dean.
No, because when he gave him the paper, he was like, "This has power. You can make this anything you want it to be."
Yeah. Oh, meaning like metaphorically, this can be anything you want it to. You mean like?
No, because he was talking about how you got played.
Yeah.
Can you play someone else? What can you do with this paper?
Well, yeah, he got played, and that thing that played him took away his vote. So why can't his piece of paper?
I don't know.
Anyways, so my point is I think the challenge should have been give this piece of paper to somebody. If they played at that tribal, then you get your vote back, and you get your vote back. I mean, at least get your vote back, or you don't ever lose your vote, because in my situation, you're not gonna lose the vote unless they don't play it. If they don't play it, you lose your vote. If they play it, you keep your vote, and maybe you gain something. I don't know.
Yeah, that would.
I don't know. I think this was probably, out of all the idol challenges, this one was the worst. I don't know what Jance's gonna be last week, but this one was the worst. This Island of the Idols has just gone downhill slowly but surely. Oh, the actual Island of the Idols has gone down slowly but surely over these 8 episodes.
Yeah, and we have to be getting to the point where everyone finds out, like, soon. Yeah. I would imagine. There's not that many people left that haven't gone, right?
I thought there was going to be... I mean, so on Rob Has podcast, he talked about how he thinks they're going to reveal Rob and Sandra at the merge. Like, hey, guys, guess we've been... No, I think they're going to wait till Final Tribal, honestly.
Probably.
I really think
at that point, literally everyone would already know.
Yeah, if everyone's been, I don't know, because people who are going are getting voted out,
Yeah.
Yeah, like it seems like people who know, the only people on the island who know right now. Let me take a look here. Yeah, Elaine, you have Elizabeth, Aaron hasn't gone, Dan hasn't gone, Dean hasn't gone, Janet went, so Janet, Elizabeth, Elaine, no. Karishma went, no, she didn't go.
I don't know.
I don't think Karishma's gone yet. Lauren hasn't gone. Missy hasn't gone. Nora went. So you got 4 people. Tommy hasn't gone. Jamal went and got voted out. Kelly went and was voted out. Vince went and was voted out. I think, yeah, I'm tripping here, but so there's 4 people who know out of like 11 people, which is not quite majority.
Yeah,
but
it feels like more people should know, I guess.
They keep getting voted out, man. They keep getting voted out. Because if Kelly and Jamal had both stayed, there would currently be 6 people out of 11. But no, it's 4 out of 11. Anyways, yeah, I don't know what their plan. I think their plan is to reveal it at Final Tribal. I think at that point, I think they should have revealed it at the merge and have been more interesting that way. But there's so much happening last night. I'm not sure how that would have gone over as well. Like in the midst of this Dan thing, we also have a reveal of Rob and Sandra.
Jamal.
Yeah. So anyways, Jamal gets back, and I think basically Jamal giving Dean that piece of paper with handwriting put a huge target on his back.
Yeah, because everyone was obviously suspicious. That was not...
Yeah. It wasn't like, hey, Survivor Production will type up a advantage.
That you create.
Yeah. That would have been like, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
But handwritten immediately makes it seem like...
And he did. Well, to be fair, he didn't have a choice about that.
Yes, he did.
Because he didn't know it was going to be handwritten. He could have said no before they handed it to him.
It doesn't. No, he could. It's not like just because he handwrote it, it means he has to. He could have got He could have been told he had to handwrite it and brought it to the island and then not given to anybody. What are they going to do? Take away his vote? They've already done that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
They're going to kick him out of the game.
I just feel like he really didn't present it well, though. No. Overall, he just came across.
He should have done it one-on-one. He thought he was putting a target on Dean's back doing that. He thought he was being real slick.
Yeah, no.
Putting a target on Dean's back saying, hey, Dean, here's an advantage. Haha, it's because I care about you. And Dean's like, oh, thanks. Screw you, too. So, yeah. Jamal put a target on his back and then had that Vokai 2.0 basically vote against him because with the exception of Missy, pretty much all of Vokai 2.0 voted for Jamal in a 6-3 vote. So, and Jamal lost his vote, and Jamal and his group was going to try to split the votes between Janet and Karishma. Even if Jamal had his vote, that split vote would not have worked.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Jamal would have needed his vote, and then they all would have needed a vote for one person, and it would have been 6-6 tie. But if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, as Colby once famously said. So I'm not going to dwell too much on that. But yeah, their split vote idea wasn't the greatest. They must have thought they had more numbers.
That didn't originate with Colby.
Oh, I'm just quoting Colby Donaldson of Survivor the Australian Outback when he says,
I just want to make sure you knew there was a life outside.
I'm sure there is somewhere, but in Australian Outback, Colby says if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, okay? Very important that you know that Colby Donaldson, an all-American hero, said that.
Okay.
I know. Oh, well, that's what happens when I'm in the middle of rewatching older seasons. So yeah, Jamal goes home. Janet plays her idol, which I think is a smart move, despite only getting 2 votes against her. I mean, she didn't know she was getting 2 votes against her.
But if you have the least suspicion,
yeah. But as we said with Kelly, if you have the least little bit amount of suspicion, you play that idol. And Janet had that little amount of suspicion, if not more than that, and played the idol because Janet was really PO'd when she found out that Missy and Elizabeth lied to her. She felt
she should be.
As she should be. She felt like she got screwed because she tried making a moral decision. But I think Survivor might be the one place where if you assume people are going to make a decision based on morals, you get rid of that assumption because I don't think that happens anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's happened. I mean, it hasn't happened in quite a while from my recollection. And these are a really dark set of episodes, and I understand why they were back to back. Totally makes sense. Because last time, I think the last darkest episode I think of before this would have been, you didn't watch the season, but season 26, Caramo and Brandon Hance, who you do know because you watch South Pacific. Brandon Hance had a complete freak out. Basically, people felt like they were threatened. He dumped all the rice everywhere into the sand. And Jeff Probst pulled him at the challenge, pulled him aside, kept him away from everybody. He was rubbing his shoulders.
I think you showed me this clip.
I probably did show you that, but I'm saying that was the last time I could think of an episode where I just got out of it and I was like, I don't feel so good. And then after last night's episodes, I was like, I totally, people don't want to watch the rest of the season. I kind of get it now. Because, even though I still think Tommy is the clear front runner to be the winner based on what we've seen, I don't know if I like Tommy. When we watched David vs. Goliath and I had a suspicion that Nick was going to win, I still liked Nick. I still was rooting for Nick. Even though I had Christian Hubicki was my favorite. And Davey. I like Davey and other people. Gabby. But I still I like Nick. But Tommy, I don't really have a like for Tommy. I just I think Tommy's going to win, but not because I like him. So, I don't know. At this point, I don't really have anybody I'm rooting for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's probably a big result of this. I mean, before it was kind of iffy, but now it's after this episode, I really
Well, after this episode, I'm rooting for Janet, which I wasn't before, but
I think the only person I liked. I know when we did our pre-merge thing. Well, yeah, everyone likes Janet now because she's the moral high ground. I liked.
Well, Kelly was my pick until yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know what I said in the last podcast, but I sure hope I said I like Kelly because I did like Kelly. I thought Kelly was going to be hopefully going to the finale. To the finale at least, but no, apparently that's not the case. Jamal, with all the content he had, is not going to the finale. He's gone. And next week, we have a double boot episode, which I'm a little surprised by. I'm also a little surprised Jack's in the jury. We kind of briefly glossed over that. Jack's in the jury, despite him never making the merge. So he hasn't met some people, which I think is
unfair?
Edge of extinction, a little unfair, yeah. I know he's in the jury, so it's going to be an 11-person jury. which makes me immediately suspicious that Rob and Sandra get a vote, and so they can keep it an even 12. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to have a tie vote like Ghost Island. I don't know why not. That was awesome when there was a tie vote. So, I don't know. That's where
I always thought that they should have an uneven jury to keep from tie votes, but
I think they wanted a tie vote, and that's why they made an even jury, and then they got the tie vote, and it was like exactly what you expected, but then you knew Laura was going to vote for Wendell, and it was like, oh, well, now I know who the winner is. There's no like real reveal. It was just surprising when there was a tie vote, but I don't know. We'll see. I really hope Rob and Sandra don't have a vote. Just hope maybe they can say something at Final Tribal. Like, hey guys, you gotta play an excellent season, or I don't know. But I don't know. At this rate, I really don't know anymore. What do I know? What do I know anymore? Next week's a double boot episode. Who do you think are the next two on the chopping block?
at this point, it's really hard to tell. I still feel like Dan will probably go soon because people don't like him.
I think Dan's going as well. I think Dan's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Dan isn't gone, he's getting dragged because Dan, from a strategic standpoint, is an easy person to beat. Nora, from a strategic standpoint, is easy to beat.
Yeah, I think Nora and Karishma will get dragged. I think taking Dan's going to be too controversial. It might hurt you if you take him.
It might be like, why'd you bring this a-hole to the end?
Yeah.
In a way, yeah.
Because other people, you can kind of be like, oh, well, we've been friends the whole time.
Yeah, Nora's crazy, but like she's fun crazy. And Karishma, Karishma's Karishma, and bring her to the end. And Karishma's not a threat. Nora's not a threat. You drag them. Dean also another person I think you can drag to the end.
He hasn't really done much. He's kind of wishy-washy. We didn't really talk about how he went against Kelly.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Dude. Dude gets saved by Kelly, makes the merge, votes for Kelly. What a jerk.
Yeah. I really thought he would at least be like, hey, they're going for you, so that you would know.
Even though his vote for Dan would not have made a difference, it still would have been 7-6. It would have looked a lot better for you, Dean.
Yeah.
Nobody had to know you voted for Dan because it wouldn't have mattered. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have mattered because Kelly still went home. But man, what a jerk. Yeah, no, Dean I think is an easy one to drag to the end. Dean, Dan, Nora, and
not Dan. We just
Karishma. No, I'm saying Dan's an easy one to drag to the end, but no, you can't let him in the final three. You're gonna get. I mean, if you're the one who's responsible for dragging Dan that far, I think you're gonna have a bunch of people mad at you.
So targets are obviously Missy, Tommy,
Dan. No, I don't think Tommy has a target on his back at all.
No, I'm just saying like strong players that maybe should have targets.
Oh, Missy definitely has had a target and will have a target, I think after
Missy will still
Kelly threw it out there. Tommy, I truly
Aaron.
Tommy seems like he's clearly making it to this finale and winning. Like there's no one else.
You're reading the edit. I'm just reading
reading the obvious take of Aaron's not in charge of this game. Dan's not in charge of this game. Dean's not in charge of the game. Even though we said there's a bunch of strong players, they keep
Tommy
getting voted out.
And Lauren did decide.
Elaine's not in charge of this game. Elizabeth's not in charge of this game. Janet's not. Karishma's not. Lauren's a lackey of Tommy. Missy is the only other real contender. Nora is not going to the end. For me, it's between Tommy and Missy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a power struggle. And right now, Missy's on the losing end of the numbers, and Tommy's on the strong end of the numbers.
But that could always change.
That can always change. It is true. We did watch David vs. Goliath. You can always flip the numbers, or you can do a Rick Devens thing and ride those idols to the end. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see it. I mean, unless numbers get flipped, Missy's going to be a goner, and Tommy's got this thing locked up. And
I just say it's way too early to say Tommy's got this thing locked up.
You're right. Because it could be like a Jack thing where it's like everyone puts their votes on one person, and that one person has an idol. So
I'm just saying, last week I really thought Kelly had a good chance, and she made some dumb mistakes. So
her and Jamal got a ton of
people make
mistakes too. Yeah, I know. I'm not saying I'm just saying that like out of this entire cast, I would stake my claim on Tommy going to the finale. Sure. To the final three.
Okay.
Or at least the fire making contest. I don't know who's being in fire making. Who knows if Tommy's even good at fire making. I think Tommy's making fire making. Who are you calling your shot on?
I said Missy.
Missy? Okay. We'll see Tommy versus Missy in the ultimate fire making showdown. That'd be something.
They're both not going to make it.
Oh. Well, double boot next week. It sounds like it's going to be like a double boot in terms of like two people are going home at Tribal, by the way. It doesn't sound like It's not 2 separate episodes like it was last night, and it's not.
Didn't they do this one time where
I think it was in Game Changers.
where someone from the jury went home? Like it ended up replacing someone on the jury.
Yeah, and Wrong, they Michelle got to pick one person on the jury to pick off. Are you thinking that's what's gonna happen again this season with Jack?
So maybe that's why there was an extra jury member.
It's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm saying that I think next week they're actually voting 2 people out at Tribal, which the last time I remember them doing this was Game Changers, I believe. So, fun stuff. It'll be fun. Hopefully, we'll return back to fun Survivor. The season is now tainted by this episode, unfortunately. Survivor really didn't have a choice. If Survivor had removed Dan from the game, it wouldn't have made like any of this any better. Like this,
No.
Yeah, like.
Well, you can't just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Jana said, there'd have to be like a bunch of evidence, and you'd have to have all 3 of the girls being like, yes, he's doing this. Yes, he's making us comfortable. Make him leave, please.
I don't know where the line is for Survivor in terms of like if they pull Dan or not, but like if Dan touched someone's butt or had touched someone's like, in an inappropriate place, like inappropriate, I think Dan would have been pulled immediately.
Yeah.
But he's like touching their hair, their toes, and it's like weird, but it's not. It's inappropriate, but it's not inappropriate as it could be, I guess. It's just like, I don't know where the line is. I would love to know where the line is. Jeff didn't clarify in his interview, which I was kind of looking for.
Oh, well, one last thing, I guess. I was actually at Tribal. I was really expecting Dan to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was overstepping my bounds.
Oh, we kind of skipped over that. My bad.
And he never really once did that. He's like, oh, we're not letting go. We're not letting go.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well,
Jeff's like, no, we're going to do this for all 39 days.
So yeah, that would definitely didn't make me feel any better about him.
Yeah.
Like if he really is just like this is his way of communicating, he's a touchy-feely person, whatever.
Because we haven't really touched on Dan as much, and I think that's kind of the conversation I've noticed is that people are really talking about Missy Elizabeth and Janet and Kelly, but kind of glossing over the person who actually did the deeds. We didn't really hear as much from Dan, which I was expecting to hear more from him. But it seemed like Dan, even though he got warned, seemed to be in the dark at Tribal about.
He's like, yeah, I don't know why this is happening to me. So
But I think part of that has to do with the fact that, number one, he didn't get voted out. And number two, I think he in his mind, I think it's just Kelly who was the one that said this thing. And then Kelly went home. So why are we still talking? I think that was Dan's mindset. Not that it was right, but I think that's where Dan was thinking. So Dan's like, Kelly's gone. She was the only one who was having an issue with me. Why are we still talking about this 3 days later? Or however many days later it is. And Jeff's like, oh, we're going to be talking about all 39 days. And I'm like, well, Dan has 0% chance of winning this game.
Yeah, no.
If Spencer was there, he would have said, Dan, 0% chance of winning. And Cass would have agreed with him. Yeah. Dan didn't really apologize. I think his apology was more along the lines of, if you felt bad, I'm sorry because I'm the nicest person I know.
Yeah, it was
I'm
more
so
of like,
humble.
I'm just such a good person, and
such
I
a
would
good
never
person.
do this.
At my job, where I'm the boss, there's no issues like this.
Versus
because I'm the boss.
Just saying, hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, really the only appropriate way of Dan going about this is, number one, not touch anybody. From the moment you get that warning from producers, like an official warning from CBS or even from Survivor, dude, bro, stop. And then, as far as I'm aware, we didn't see him touch anybody after the warning, to be fair. It's just that he was still in the dark about why this was being like a thing. And he probably is also obviously thinking, he probably has like a huge feeling in his stomach because he's also thinking, crap, this is going to be on TV. People at home are going to see this. The game is probably like, in his mind, like, he just wishes he could think about the game and not about real life, but he is kind of stuck in the situation of, nope, man, till the season's over and we start talking about next season, this is kind of going to be talked about. So he's just kind of in a rut on that one. But life moves on. Forgiveness is out there for you. But Dan didn't really apologize. He's like, if you feel bad, I'm sorry, I guess, but like, I'm the nice person I know. And it's like, Dan, no. You should just say, guys, I am so sorry. My intention was never to make anyone feel uncomfortable. I understand that I touched people's hair, ear, toes, whatever, and I shouldn't have done that. It's something I'm trying to not grow out of, maybe.
Just say it won't happen again.
Yeah,
That's all you have to say.
But you like say like, you can acknowledge like, I understand, like not saying I'll try to stop it, but it's like more like, I understand that like, this is something I do, and like I'm trying to, as a person, I'm growing out of it. Like, I'm growing out of this. Like, not growing out of it, but I'm maturing. I'm trying to, like, I have to make conscious decisions not to do this. And and that may not sound like the best thing in the world to say, keep it short and sweet. But at the same time, it's like, this is the most honest thing you could say. Like, Dan clearly naturally does this. I don't think Dan's like wakes up in the morning and go, I'm going to go touch people. I think Dan gets in a conversation and feels like he can touch people.
Yeah.
Just thinks he can and doesn't really think about it. Because if he really thought about it, I don't think he would really do it, but I don't know. So anyways, he really should just humbly apologize and said, guys, I am going to stop it. If anyone notices me doing it,
feel free to let me know,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
because it is sometimes I'm just unconscious. You just do things.
Slap my hand, like slap me, like vote me out if I do it again, like lay out something like out there so it makes people make people feel good, or at least feel better that you at least acknowledge the issue and you are working to stop the issue.
Yeah,
and that you really don't want people feeling like Dan's a huge jerk and he doesn't care about me, and he's not really apologizing because he didn't really apologize. He may have seemed sincere when he said that he thinks he's the nicest person he knows, but it's not an apology, Dan. And the worst part is Dan works in Hollywood. This isn't just not a good look. I think that's the thing that's overlooked here is that Dan works in Hollywood, and this was just a huge issue like 2 years ago in Hollywood, 2 or 3 years ago, I think, with the Me Too movement.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Weinstein and all that. So just like,
it doesn't matter where you work though.
I know, but it's just like, you think he would be more self-conscious of it because of that, because it was in his if my job, like if it was in my field, people were getting in trouble for a certain thing. I feel like that would be the thing I'd be more conscious of not doing. No, Mary's shaking her head. She's not saying anything.
No, I'm. This is kind of just getting off the top of Survivor.
I'm just saying. I feel like Dan isn't though more aware of the thing because of where he works. But anyways, I'm sure we beat this topic to death by now.
Yeah.
All right. So next week episode, we're expecting Dan to go home. Hopefully, any other it has to be one other person who's going home. Who else do you think's going home next week?
I really don't know.
Pick anyone.
I mean,
I'm going to say my other person I think is going home is, I don't want to say Elaine, but it feels like Elaine only pops up when there's like a joke, and she hasn't even been that really prominent in the season. I feel like they're trying to hide Elaine because they know we'd really like Elaine, and then she's going to get home in a heartbreaker. She might be going home next week.
Or she might win the whole thing.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. And that's just not like reading the edit. I just don't think we just like literally don't see enough of Elaine for me to ever think she's going to win. She's just like, there's the comic relief. But I think Elaine might be going home next week.
It's possible.
Hopefully not. Elaine's one of the people who isn't boring and isn't also causing issues. So I don't know. In an ideal world, it'd be like Dan and like Dean. Or Dan and Aaron. I don't really care for Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought my mind might change because Aaron seems to be playing. I don't really like Aaron. So, all right. That's it for this week. Next time we're going to podcast will be before the finale. We'll do it the week before the finale. We'll come at you when there's a final 6, I believe, unless you're going to do some sort of twist. There should be a final 6, and we'll come back and talk about that before the finale, give you our final predictions. Then after the finale, we'll be back in with podcasts. As I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, working on videos for Africa right now. There's 6 of them in store for you. The first one being the story of Lex Vandenberg. And if you're a Patreon or a patron on Patreon, you download these podcast episodes as MP3s. You also get to see all the videos that go up on YouTube weeks before they come out. So, what do you think about that, Mary? Weeks before they come out.
I didn't even know you had them done weeks before they came out. So good job.
Yeah. Yeah, most of them I have done at least 2 to 3 weeks before they come out. All right. So that will be it for today. I hope you all have a great day. And if you listened for this entire... hey, we went under an hour this time. What a record.
Yay.
Wow. That's the shortest podcast ever for us.
Well, we don't want to dwell too much on these
We
episodes.
should celebrate with some... This is not sponsored. Dunkin' Donuts. Sure. All right. Well, you guys have a good day. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.